Well, hi, friends. Welcome back to fUNfiltered. I'm Carol, and today we're answering 3 practical questions about how authors can market their book wisely without feeling like they need to try every single idea that comes their way. And I get to be with Heather. Yay.
Yay! Although in person is so much better.
It is. We were in person all last week. So we're going to give you some things today. So we're talking about how to keep sharing your book without sounding repetitive, whether cinematic book trailers are worth the investment, and whether Spotify advertising makes sense for authors. Those are the questions you asked. And so we're going to answer. And I am really glad that I'm here. I feel like it's been forever since I've done fUNfiltered. And I'm here with my co-host, the one and only Heather Ryder.
Hello. I am so excited to be here and excited about the questions because authors often feel pressure to keep finding new ways to promote books. And sometimes the answer is really not to do more. It's to use what you already have more strategically. So we are going to jump right in. Carol's going to take the first question. And again, it's one that almost every author will wrestle with at one time or another. So here's the question. How do I keep talking about my book without sounding repetitive or overly promotional?
Yeah. So I would say that the answer is not necessarily to talk about your book less. It's more to widen kind of the conversation points around your book. So authors begin sounding repetitive when your post or when you talk about it or when you're at a speaking event, when has some kind of version of or verbiage that includes like, my book is available, here's the cover, here's the link, please buy it, right? But your book contains so much more than just announcements. It contains really your struggle that you walk through, stories that you've lived, questions that you have found the answers to, scriptures, encouragement, lessons, so many things, practical help. So repeat the heartbeat of your message, but you can always enter through different doorways. So you might share something like a struggle your reader is facing. So you could talk about that. Or a question readers frequently ask. Heather, do you have any that you could join in with on this list of things that they could do?
Well, like a personal story that would connect to the book. Scripture is always good. Something that maybe helped to shape the chapter, something along those lines.
Yeah, maybe a practical step from your book, or you could even do a behind the scenes story.
That would be good.
Yeah.
What about like a testimony from someone who has read the book?
I think that's great. Yeah. So example, instead of saying by my devotional, you might say, does your time with God keep getting pushed aside because life never seems to settle down? Here's one simple way to meet with him in the middle of an ordinary interrupted day. I think that that genuinely helps. And then you could naturally add, this is one of the rhythms that I walk through with my reader in this book. So now it doesn't sound like a sales pitch. It becomes the next layer of help. So what kinds of questions should we maybe ask before posting?
Well, maybe ask the question of if this will still serve the reader, even if they don't buy the book today. So is it beneficial regardless of if they buy the book?
Yeah. So when the answer is yes, you're leading with value rather than promoting, right? Yeah. And so remember, your audience is not seeing or remembering every single thing you've shared just like you do. You have lived the message of your book for months, years, and it really does feel familiar to you, but it may be the first time that your readers ever heard it. So your book is not the only thing you have to talk about. Your book is really the evidence that you have something meaningful to say. So the answer to the question would be, your goal is not to keep announcing a product. It's just to keep serving the person the book was created to help.
I really go back. You said something about the book. Your book is not the only thing you have to talk about. What was the rest of that part?
What did I say? Your book is not the only thing to talk about. Your book is kind of the evidence or the proof that you have something meaningful to say.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
So good. Okay. So Heather, One way some authors try to introduce their books in a fresh and creative way is through video. Now, the next question is about this very thing. So Val Barshaw, one of our Redemption Press authors, asks, is a cinematic book trailer worth the investment?
So this is an interesting question, and maybe not as straightforward as you might think, because a cinematic book trailer could have value, but most authors should see it as branding and awareness, like a tool, not as a dependable way to just sell a book. So the trailer could create emotion and communicate atmosphere of a story, or give launch partners something compelling to share. It's always nice to have that, something that you can give others that they can then share on your behalf. But here's what's important to remember. The trailer's just content. It doesn't come with an audience or a guaranteed audience. You still have to have a clear plan for getting it in front of the right people. So you could spend thousands of dollars creating an absolutely beautiful video, post it online a few times, and then receive very little return because there was no clear plan for getting that in front of the right people. So some examples of when a trailer would potentially make sense. So if the book is fiction, historical, or suspenseful, a children's book, or maybe highly visual. Carol, can you think of any other examples of when it would make sense?
Yeah, like if the author already has an audience or partners prepared to share it, so that would be great. Or if you maybe are having some events, maybe a presentation you're doing, or maybe a campaign of some sort, maybe you're crowdfunding, during some type of coordinated launch, a video like that could be really compelling.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, if there is one clear next step for the viewers, that would make sense as well.
So like mandatory.
Say that again.
It's like mandatory to have a next step. That's what we always want to do. The call
Absolutely
to action is always important.
Yes. Yes. So then before investing in a large production, consider just testing the idea with a simple 20 to 30 second video. Our phones can do so much these days. Focus on one reader struggle, or a story premise, a strong hook, and then a clear invitation. Then watch what happens. Does it receive shares? Are people clicking on it or commenting, or is there interest in it at all? And then the big question isn't, will this look impressive? It's, where will people see it? What will we ask them to do? And how will we know whether it worked? It's what Carol was saying, that next step. So don't sacrifice foundational marketing pieces. So don't forget a strong book page, reader reviews, your email list growth, and trusted partners. Don't sacrifice those in order to pay for the trailer. Like, those are the foundational pieces. The value of any marketing tool depends more on, rather than how impressive it looks, it's whether it's a good fit for the book. Does it reach the reader? And does it give the reader, again, that clear next step?
Yeah. And, I will just speak to the trailer idea as well, because I created a trailer for my first book, my first Bible study, and I did it on my own. So I wanted to promote it actually before it came out. And so I created a trailer that I could use before, and then I just changed up the call to action and used it for after. But I went to an area in our neighborhood, or in our area, that has looks kind of deserty, has little creeks running through it and a pond and all kinds of things. And so it looked very like I was in the middle of kind of the desert. And I just had Kelly come with me, and I memorized my script, and he took my iPhone, and I had one of those clip microphones that attach to your iPhone. And now you can get those for $15. Seriously, they're so cheap. And you can even get wireless ones, so you don't have to be connected to your phone now. But I did my little script, and then I went and took pictures of my Bible study and my Bible, and I had it opened the book of Ezra, and I took video of it next to the stream, sitting in the desert by a rock. I did all these different still shots and moving shots. And then I just pieced it all together in iMovie. And some of it, like I'd put the pictures or whatever over the video. So you weren't seeing me, you were seeing the book, or you're seeing some scenery as I talked, and I put some verbiage on it. Like it was so easy. And it did exactly what I needed to do with it when I was trying to promote my book before it came out. So
I think that is amazing. And now I will say, for those of you out there who are watching who are like, that does not sound easy, because Carol is really gifted and talented at all the things. But I will say, with our phones, they make things so easy. Like you don't need a professional camera. There's a whole, especially in iPhone, there's literally a cinematic version on your phone, a camera. And although my kids are like, don't use that for regular Instagram content, like be real. But for something like that, turn your phone on its side. You want the long stretch, and then use that to record, just like Carol said, and add extra pieces. And then, if you have, yes, turn sideways. If you have somebody in your church, like if that whole thing terrifies you, there is a college student near you who would love to help you with that for much less than it would cost you. They probably enjoy just a fun meal, some extra money, like give them something for their time, but they would be happy to help you with that. So think outside the box. Don't just think big dollar. So
when I think too, like in BMA, so Crystal was asking, like, can we have lessons on iMovie? Yeah, iMovie, like if you can do, it's the easiest program. Seriously.
It is.
It's drag and drop. And once you know how to do it, you can create amazing, amazing things. And then you take iMovie and you partner with Canva and you partner with Keynote. And oh my goodness, I've made some incredible videos. So
and it's a huge rabbit hole. Like once you go into it, you'll be like, this is so much fun. For sure. Okay. So we'll go on to the next question. The next one, and again, it's another marketing app option. So it's a great next question. It comes from Jason Rue, and I hope I said your last name correctly. Carol, let's talk about the audio advertising, specifically Spotify. Is there value in advertising a book on Spotify?
Yeah. So thankfully we have Shelley Brown as part of our BMA because she can find all the answers to all things. And so what she told us was that Spotify advertising can have value, but it probably would not be the best first paid marketing recommendation for most authors promoting just one print book. It's probably a stronger fit for an author who has an audiobook or an audio-based resource, maybe a topic that connects with an identifiable Spotify audience, or a message that can create curiosity quickly. You really do need a strong landing page and even maybe a free sample of your audio devotional, a podcast, an episode, or something that would be the natural next step from a Spotify audience, because audio advertising is often strongest when the next step is also audio. So,
yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah. Imagine someone hearing, if you have been carrying grief that no one else seems to understand, listen to a free chapter from your book title. Now that listener is already in the audio environment. So asking them to listen to a free chapter or a podcast episode, the audio devotional sounds, very natural. So asking them to stop listening and leave Spotify to find your print book and immediately purchase it creates a little bit more like tension there. So Heather, do you remember what Shelley told us about Spotify ads?
Yeah, so they're sometimes less effective if the audience is extremely narrow. If the ad will send listeners to a retailer, people who don't know you, and sends them elsewhere, or if the author doesn't have an audiobook, a free resource, or a way to continue the relationship, those would be less effective ads.
Yeah, and it's also important to understand the difference between a Spotify ad and a trusted podcast host recommending your book. So a Spotify ad purchases a brief moment of attention, but the podcast interview or a host read sponsorship, like on a radio show, that allows you to really benefit from trust that's already been built with the audience. So for many Christian authors, appearing on a carefully chosen podcast may actually be a better place to begin. So what are some things that maybe we should do before we advertise on Spotify?
Yeah, make sure your message is already connecting. Like, I think sometimes we see the option of ads and we translate that directly to sales. Ads don't necessarily create sales. Sales have, I would say, equal effectiveness when there's a relationship there. So make sure that your message is already connecting. Choose one measurable goal. Create that dedicated landing page. And again, we're going to go back from the previous question. Offer a next step. That next step is huge. It's crucial. Make sure it fits the audio environment. And then maybe add, again, test a small campaign before spending more. The same thing that you were looking at with that cinematic trailer. Start small. Do a little sampling before you go all in. So it could be like Spotify may be worth testing for the right book, especially if it's an audiobook.
Yeah, but it should be treated as an experiment, not a shortcut around clear messaging, audience building, or even the trusted relationships that you need.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the thread running through all three of these questions is that authors don't need to chase every marketing idea.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you're writing a social media post, creating your book trailer, or considering Spotify advertising, begin with your reader and ask questions like, what do they need? What message is going to connect with them? And what's the clearest next step you can offer? Those are the three questions that guide anything that you do in not only marketing, but in writing and speaking. Those questions are crucial.
Yeah. Well, same again. What do they need? What message will connect with them? And then what's the clearest next step that you can offer? Yeah. So needs, messages, and connections, and the next step. And remember, the most impressive marketing tool is not always the most effective one. When you're in, like, maybe for the big movie producers go big, right? Because they're known and they have a huge platform. But for where we're at, it's not. Most impressive isn't always the most effective. The best strategy is the one that helps you to genuinely serve your reader and to build that relationship that can continue beyond just a single post or a video or an advertisement.
Yeah. So we'd love to hear from you guys. Which of the questions that we answered today connect with you right now where you are? Are there more things that you want to know about them that perhaps we could help research together? You can tell us in the comments. If you're part of BMA, you can always go ahead and let us know in one of our coaching sessions. And if you have a question you'd love for us to answer during a future fUNfiltered episode, go ahead and leave that in the comments too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, we will see you next time on fUNfiltered.